Shri Krishnavagishayatishwarabhyam samprapta chakrankana bhashyasaram Shri Nutnarangendra yatau samarpitasvam Shri Krishnamaryam Guruvaryamide Virodhe Kartike Mase Shatatara Kritodayam Yogacharya Krishnamaryam Guruvaryamaham Bhaje Krishnasuri Dayapatram Jnanavairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanatharyam Vandeham Yoga Deshikam Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaskaram. On behalf of the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram, it gives me great pleasure to share with you certain insights about our approach to yoga therapy, specifically adaptations of asanas to suit individual requirements. As all of you may be well aware, Sri Krishnamacharya was a renowned yogi, master, an adept in yoga, who lived for over 100 years, and his teachings in many ways form the source for many streams of modern day yoga practice. One specific lineage from Krishnamacharya is that established by his son and long-term student Sri TKV Desikachar, the founder of the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram, Chennai. The KYM, as it is known, is renowned as a center for yoga therapy, while we also offer yoga studies, yoga teacher training, yoga therapist training, chanting, and various other areas of study. The hallmark of KYM is its approach to adaptations of yoga techniques, specifically for the purpose of health and wellness. It was the very firm conviction of Sri Krishnamacharya and Sri Desikachar that the benefits of yoga must be accessible to everyone, especially in present day times when emotional stress, psychological stress and distress is very high, and also where the body, there is a significant toll on the body as well due to changes in our diet, lifestyle, and other practices such as sleep and so on. And so in this context, when we look at practices of yoga, we have asana, pranayama, bhavana, nyasam, the various bandhas and so on. Of course, chanting can also be integrated. But in its classical form, these may not be appropriate for everyone all the time. One very unique contribution from Sri Krishnamacharya is the organization of yoga practices to suit the needs of individuals based on their age, stage of life, their professions, their interest or aptitude, also their capacity, and further these practices may also be adapted based on the location, based on the place of residence, the climate, time of practice, and so on. And so this approach adapts the techniques of yoga to the individual practicing them without expecting the individual to adapt or do the techniques come what may. The idea here being that we have, every one of us has different needs, different capacities, also because of an innate individual uniqueness of our constitution. And so with the individual front and center, the yoga therapist consultant assesses those needs of that individual, current capabilities, expectations, and based on this, designs practices where we work on the classical postures considering form as well as function. Form versus function is a key thrust area in our approach, which I will explain to you through certain demonstrations. The form of a posture is the posture as it is to be performed, as taught in the tradition, as taught to us by our Acharya Krishnamacharya, and also the form classically as referenced in different sources of yoga literature. Here, the assumption is of a practitioner who is agile, fit, flexible, with considerable stamina, consistency of practice. But when it comes to individuals of the present day, not everyone is a yoga practitioner from childhood. Many people begin practicing yoga much later in life. It could be in their 20s, 30s, and sometimes even much later, 60s, 70s. And so necessarily, given that the starting point is different, how these very same postures and practices have to be adapted will vary depending on who is doing them. And so we place the individual at the center and adapt techniques as needed. Now here, in modifying the form of a posture, what is important is that the function is not lost, because every posture, whether it is a back arch, whether it is a forward bend, whether it is a lateral bend or a twist, every posture engages specific parts of the body and serves very clear functions. For instance, if you take a forward bend, in the forward bend, there is an abdominal contraction. At the same time, you see that there is a stretching of the spine and a rounding of the back. Given that that is the function, the same function may be brought in even when the form is changed. So these adaptations give people a very gentle way of easing themselves into a specific posture, experiencing the benefits of those postures without strain or without causing any inadvertent injury. This is an area of caution for the simple reason, as I mentioned, that practitioners today come from various backgrounds with multiple health conditions. Health status is not homogeneous. There is profession-induced stress as well. Also ergonomic issues coming from bad posture, bad seated position when working. Some professions require individuals to be sedentary for a large part of the day. Other professions require them to stand. And so naturally, the outcome of all these pressures varies, and therefore the necessity for adaptation. And so in this, when we are trying to weigh form and function, when it comes to individualized yoga therapy, the onus, the focus shifts to adapting the function to suit the needs of the individual. The function will remain the same. It is the form that is modified based on the capacity. Why is this useful? Is because rather than forcing someone to do a posture classically, and thereby there might be a possibility of causing some injury, minor or major, because the person is not ready. When we work with these modifications, when we adapt postures, then we can adapt to the level of the practitioner. Now, when it comes to adaptations, it's not only simplification of a process, of a posture. One can also intensify the effect, because we have practitioners at different levels. And so where there is already a certain base level of stamina, base level flexibility, then one can go further in terms of intensifying the effects of the very same posture. So now we will explore some of these adaptations. In certain postures, I will demonstrate along with my colleague Padmini, certain simplifications, certain intensifications as well, for a selection of postures that we don't have time here to cover the entire array of postures, but this is a sample to show you our approach to how we work with the posture, what is the classical form, and how do we adapt its form depending on the need, depending on the context in which that posture has to be used. In the same way, other techniques, pranayama techniques may be adapted as well. Also, bhavana, visualization, is always taught to the level at which a practitioner is at. So we move on now to certain postures that we will look at classically and their adaptations. We will start first with Tadasana. I request Padmini to demonstrate it classically with the arms up from the front, after which we will show you the modifications. From this starting position, inhale, On the toes, arms raised above the head. On the exhale, lower the arms and the heels to the floor. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Now, classically, Tadasana, in this tradition, when I say classical, I mean the Krishnamacharya tradition, the arms are raised from the front. When we deliberately want to shift the focus to the shoulders, to the chest, and facilitate a lateral opening, the same posture may be done, raising the arms upwards from the sides. Inhale, on the toes, arms raised from the sides above the head. On the exhale, lower the arms from the sides and bring the heels to the floor. The breath and the movement need to be in synchronicity. Inhale, arms up from the sides, going up on the toes. And on the exhale, lower the arms from the sides, bring the feet down. Now here, when we want to intensify, one could introduce a stay. You could go up and stay. Another way, if you want to give more engagement for the shoulder, to rotate the shoulder, another option would be to raise the arms up from the front, bring them down from the sides, raise them up from the sides, bring them down from the front. We will take a look at this now. Inhale, Tadasana, arms up from the front as you go up. Coming down, the arms may be brought in a wide circle from the sides. So if you notice, this will engage both the top down as well as the rotatory movement of the shoulders. Now the return, inhale, arms up from the sides and then down from the front. This could be one way of bringing a different focus to the same posture. We also find when it comes to a therapeutic need that sometimes people are not able to raise their arms all the way above the head. We see this most often where people have neck-related issues or shoulder-related issues like a frozen shoulder. And so in such cases, we might also give graded movements where the arms are not raised at a stretch to the top, but raised and lowered in steps. Inhale. On the toes, raise the arms slightly from the sides. Exhale, lower the hands and the legs. Now on the next inhale, slightly higher. And down. And even higher on the third inhale, arms above to the extent possible. Exhale, down. Now this adaptation may also be done with the arms from the front. In the case of those who are unable to stand, the same movement may be also given in a seated posture, with the student being made to sit on a chair and then raise and lower the arms in a graded fashion. These are other ways of working. We now look at Uttanasana. This is one of the classical postures, I think, common to every yoga tradition. A very important forward bend where there is a contraction of the abdomen and a stretching of the spine, curving the lower back. We will see it first classically. In the tradition of Krishnamacharya, we do it with a technique known as the sthiti, where after going into the forward bend, the spine is further extended and then bent to the final position as a way of deeply engaging the spine and intensifying the forward bend. This is Uttanasana with sthiti as we teach it classically to our teacher trainees. Inhale. Exhale, bend down. Palms are placed on the floor on either sides of the feet. The head is lowered. Now on the inhale, stretch the spine, arching the back, and on the exhale, go deeper. Now one option in this posture for those who are unable to do it with the knees straight is to bend the knees. This becomes one of the simplest adaptations to enable the person to do the posture. On the inhale, come up, let your arms lead the movement. And exhale, lower the arms. Now this posture can be adapted in many ways. We can remove the sthiti. As I mentioned, one of the first simplest adaptations is to separate the feet or to bend the knees as well. We will see both. We will first show you with the knees bent, because when you bend the knees, the strain reduces and the person is able to do the posture a little more comfortable. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend forward. To the extent possible, keep the knees straight. At the point where there is a necessity, one could bend the knee and go down. Now, if you're not able to go down till the floor, you could also place your palms anywhere on the leg. Say, for instance, on the ankles or the knee. Yes. On the inhale, you can come up. Let the arms lead the movement. And exhale, lower the arms. This is one simplification. In another, you could spread the legs out slightly, even more. Because this, again, when you broaden the base, it reduces the strain on the back. So the same movement here again, if there is a necessity, one could bend the knees. Otherwise, you could attempt to do the posture with the legs spread, but the knees straight. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend forward. Inhale, come up, let your arms lead the movement. And on the exhale, lower the arms. This is another adaptation. A third, for those who are unable to go down all the way, is to work on the function, because the function is a forward bend. The range of the bend can be adapted. Here we will show you a variation using the support of a stool. Inhale, arms up from the front. Bend forward on the exhale, placing the palms on a stool or a table in front of you. Now the height of the table can vary depending on the capacity. For someone who is reasonably flexible, this height is okay. Even further down is okay. They may not be able to touch the floor, but a slight elevation is fine. Or even at the height of a dining table, depending on the flexibility. Now, in this posture also, if there is a need, one could bend the knees as you go down, or alternately even spread the legs if there is a necessity. Inhale, come up. We'll show you with the knees spread. And exhale, lower the arms. You will now see it with the feet spread apart. So where you can bring in multiple modifications. Inhale. Exhale, bend forward. Again, if there is a need, one could bend the knees as well. You see that the function of the posture does not change. It is still a forward bend. There is still an abdominal contraction and the rounding of the spine. So the function is retained while the form alone varies. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lower the arms. Now for someone who is not able to stand and bend forward for various reasons, usually the reason is therapeutic in nature, for such a situation, one could also adapt the same Uttanasana to a seated position where function is retained but the form changes from the standing to the seated plane. Sit comfortably on a stool or a chair. The height must be such that the feet are placed firmly on the floor, knees parallel. You can spread the feet apart to the extent comfortable. On the inhale, arms up from the front. On the exhale, bend down. Again, to the extent possible. If the person is able to go down all the way and place the palms on the floor, this can be done. If not, the palms can be placed anywhere on the legs. Again, the range of the bend would depend on the individual. In certain cases, for instance, where someone might have hypertension or giddiness when bending forward, we might even reduce the range of the bend. Inhale, come up. And exhale, arms down. And even further simplification, if for some persons the shoulders are restricted or there is a discomfort in raising and lowering, I will show you one more variation. In this position, inhale, and on the exhale, just slide the hands down the legs, bending down gently to the extent possible. On the inhale, draw the hands up the legs again. On the exhale, again bend down. Again, if you notice, the form of the posture is retained. It's a forward bend. There is an abdomen contraction, extension of the spine, rounding of the spine. The function is the same. The form varies and is highly adapted to suit the needs of the practitioner. Come up as you inhale and lower the hands as you exhale. Relax. Now here we have seen the different ways in which this particular posture may be simplified specifically for individualized yoga therapy applications. Here we will also show you just one variation where we can intensify the same posture to create a deeper effect, a more of a stretch can be done with a simple use of certain props. Now if you notice in this position, this is not for a therapeutic intervention. This is an adaptation that one can use for someone who is already flexible, reasonable amount of strength, where we want to intensify the effect of the posture. And so a slight elevation is given to the front part of the foot, especially the toes. The same posture is done. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, low. Lower the hands and bend down. Now you might not be able to see the effect, but what will work, I will ask Padmini to tell you herself. So you see that the palms are placed down, only the toes are elevated. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lower the arms. So where would you feel it when you do this? Where do you feel it? Stretches the back of the legs, yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. You can feel the difference. Yes. So this is just one variant. There are several such variants that we can look at for the purpose of intensifying the effect of a posture. I'm only showing you a sample for you to understand our approach depending on the need. We now move on to Trikonasana. In Trikonasana, we start from the Samasthiti position. Take a big step sideways. We will first show you the classical and then move on to the adaptations. Inhale, arms up to shoulder level. Exhale, twist towards the left. The right palm is outside the left foot. The left hand is extended. Turn the head down, come up as you inhale. On the exhale to the other side. Turn the head, come up as you inhale. Lower the hands on the exhale. So this is one of the postures, very important posture that has to be taught in this way classically. We will look at the adaptation now, where we use a stool for support on both sides. Here, Trikonasana is adapted using two stools on either side. So the range of twist is limited to halfway. Inhale, arms up to shoulder level. On the exhale, twist towards the left, right palm placed on the stool, the hand extended above. Turn the head, come up on the inhale. On the exhale, to the other side. Now here the option also is of bending the knee if there is a necessity. On the side that one is bending towards, if there is a need, the knee can be bent. Turn the head, come up as you inhale. On the exhale, lower the hands. Now here, using the same support, one could also call attention to work on the shoulders. Some people might have a little tightness in the shoulder region and therefore experience a little difficulty in opening out the shoulders. In which case also one could take the hand behind. Not only does it intensify the twist, it will also open out the shoulder with the support. Inhale. Exhale, bend to the left. Now as you twist, the other hand is taken behind. So you see that there is a movement of the shoulder. This can be used for both. You can use it to intensify the twist, also to open out the shoulder. Turn the head, come up as you inhale, raising the arms to the shoulders and to the other side on the exhale. Turn the head, come up as you inhale and arms down. This is for someone who can bend to this extent. Now, if someone is not able to bend even to this point, we can even further simplify the same posture. Bring your feet slightly closer together. Yes. So here, the range of the twist is limited only to the upper torso. Inhale, arms up. On the exhale, twist your body, placing the right palm on the left shoulder. The left hand is bent and placed on the back behind. Inhale, turn to the center. Exhale to the other side. Again, the range of twist is dependent on the person who is doing it. Inhale, center. Exhale, arms down. Further, if one is not able to do this standing, the same movement can be adapted to the seated position as well. We now look at a sequence, how the sequence itself can be adapted. Here you're going to see Vajrasana and Chakravakasana done classically. Inhale, on the knees, arms up. Exhale, bend forward into the Vajrasana, forward bend. Inhale, move forward, arch your back. This is Chakravakasana. This is an adapted Chakravakasana. Exhale, lower the head, return to the Vajrasana, forward bend. On the inhale, arms up, coming up on your knees. On the exhale, lower the arms, sit on your heels. Now, this same sequence can be adapted for someone who is unable to sit on the floor or has knee or back issues. It can be highly adapted to become simple as a preparation to reach this sequence. Here you see this adapted version where the function will remain the same. At a milder level, the form will change. Inhale. Exhale. The bend is a halfway forward bend from the standing position. Inhale with the hands holding the surface of the chair, arch the back. Exhale, return to the halfway forward bend. Inhale, arms up as you come up. Exhale, lower the arms. What we have explained, shared today in this session is just a sample, an idea of how postures may be adapted. We have tried to show you some intensifications, not all, because the number of postures are many, and what we can do with the posture is also very varied. Here, the purpose is to give certain insights into how the Krishnamacharya approach works. Using form, we leverage form and then we vary the form, retaining the function of a particular posture. And this method of adaptation gives us a large canvas to work with, because we are not constrained to just a certain number of classical postures. The postures themselves may be adapted depending on who's doing them, depending on the requirement of that individual. And not only can you alter the posture, one can also work around with different methods, different techniques of breathing, working on the exhale, working on the inhale. One can incorporate mantra, one can incorporate bhavana, and so one can layer different techniques to create practices that are powerful but relevant to the individual practitioner. Thank you for joining us today, and we will explore these ideas of how postures, yoga techniques may be adapted for different health conditions subsequently.